Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. It's a late night Moonbat edition for you here tonight on the broadcast. Latest we've ever started a show, or earliest, however you want to look at it. But nonetheless, we are here with you live this evening, this morning, however you want to look at it, wherever you are throughout the world. Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever. But we are here live with you. Now, it's weird issues today with stuff, tech issue stuff. Very strange. Weird stuff going on with the DNS server on my main computer, and it wasn't allowing me. It's showing internet connection, and then nothing would load up. It's just odd, and I was working with that. We had some stream issues, various things of that nature, but we made it, and we are live here with you. So regardless of that, we'll have a show, and there's people that most people are going to be listening later on in the archive anyway. So it doesn't make a flip to them what time it is. So let's get into it here tonight. How are you? Glad you could be with us. We will be discussing all kinds of news and information here with you tonight, relevant topics of discussion. That is going to run the gamut tonight. And again, you never know where it's going to go. I sort of always have a rough plan of what things I'm possibly going to talk about. Most of the time, the shows just go where they go. I very rarely plan on the things that we end up getting into and talking about. And I love that. And if you have things you'd like to hear me discuss or you have questions, email is a great way to do that. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. I always check it during the show and I can even answer questions on air and that kind of thing. So it's good. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. My website where this broadcast originates from is theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. We are going to be launching a this is great to be in the chat room. I was serious about this. You guys thought I was fucking playing around. I'm being totally serious about this. We're going to be launching a new counter offensive, and when I say offensive, I mean offensive, a real counter offensive, and it will be offensive. Yes indeed. If you're easily offended, you might want to participate in what I'm going to talk about right now. If you're easily offended by dirty, disgusting things like the grossest porno you could ever imagine in your life, you might not want to participate in this. But we are launching our own counteroffensive campaign to the Alex Jones V campaign. One of our great listeners, Chamber in the chat room, has created what I deemed to be the winning poster. This is the rules of the competition. We have a we have a pick, our counter offensive pick, and like again, let me underline offensive. And here's what you can do. You can go out and I'm going to say first off, you may want to find some way to alter this picture. I don't know. We need to find some way to alter with it still remaining keeping its core values. But I'm not going to say I'm going to encourage anyone to do this because it could get you in some legal trouble. So I'm not going to say I'm going to encourage anyone to do this, or even say it's even a contest, really, technically, because it's really not. I'm just going to put it out there that as a counter to the Alex Jones V poster, if you see these around your town, if you happen to see these show up anywhere, it would make me smile and certainly be something that might get the attention of the media and draw some attention away from this ridiculous poster campaign. And that is this picture that was made. And I was like, well, you know what? We should start a V for Vagina campaign. And, find the picture, a picture of the dirtiest, nastiest, filthiest, grossest looking vagina. And I'm sure you can find it very easily on the internet. And we did in the chat room. And, and somebody should make a poster out of it. And boy, oh boy, did they ever come across the flying colors. Dig this. Imagine, if you will, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 pound woman bent over. And I mean bent over. I mean, you can see all the way to Tokyo, okay? Ass, vagina, the whole package, everything. One of the most disgusting sights you've ever seen in your life. And then plastered on that is a big V, as in, the V campaign posters, slapped on this thing's ass with the head of Phyllis Schlafly, Dame of Malta and Council for National Policy, on the front. So it looks like Phyllis Schlafly weighs 400 pounds and has been over with her entire goodie bag showing to the world. And then I saw a later revision where somebody had put a CMP logo on her other ass cheek. Anyway, I don't know. I'm sure there are laws against publicly posting pornography. So let's not get anybody in trouble and do anything of that. I don't want to say this is officially sponsored, but I will say this. If anybody was to do something in the realm and scope of, maybe something that was not as pornographic, but, if somebody was to do something like this and get one of these, a picture or maybe some video, and get that over one of these Alex Jones posters and, have something that would also show our website, theglobalreality.com, in there in the video. And so whoever makes the best counter-offensive video, be offensive, but you don't want to be offensive to the point where you're going to get arrested for posting public pornography. So don't do that. What I'm saying is, if there were people out there who decided on their own free will and volition, not by my suggesting it, because I'm not suggesting it, I'm just saying, putting it out there, saying, hey, you want to do this, maybe, do it if you want. If you don't want to, fine. But if there were these videos or something else that started popping up and there's people that did this, I would be in a position where I would probably have to give somebody my opinion on what the best one was. And then I would probably feel also that I would be obligated to give whoever did the best video or made the best attempt or whatever, I would feel obligated to give that person a prize. So I would probably theoretically give that person a special prize pack from me, from the Global Reality, that would include all kinds of stuff that you can't buy, that we don't sell, that relates to the Global Reality. I mean, you'd get some really good stuff. You get all my documentary films, a package with everything in it, including Secret Right 2. You get that for free. All our Demigod CDs. You might even get a special limited edition t-shirt in there. You might get a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm just saying, theoretically, if somebody was to do this and there were some of these out there and I had to judge them, theoretically, I would probably do that. But I'm not going to say this is a contest, because I'm not going to take any liability or responsibility for what you assholes do out there. You do what you want to do, fuckers. But if somebody was to do that and there were some really good ones, I would give that person a prize. Okay? Let's just say it and put it out there. Put it out there like that. But no, here's my thing. Here, I'm really being serious about this. And I am being serious about this little, not really a contest thing. And in fact, I'm going to be on with Lee Rogers on Monday. We're going to be talking about some various issues on his show, 3 hours live and uncensored. And we're going to be talking about this little poster contest thing as well. But hey, you never know. Maybe we'll get Lee to throw in a free copy of his movie or something if we have a prize winner. But there it is. If somebody wants to, do a counter-offensive to the V posters and put theglobalreality.com and roguegovernment.com on there too, sure. Maybe we'll give you a prize pack or something. How about that? But seriously, here in all seriousness, though, aside from all that tomfoolery there, honestly, I think these are the kind of opportunities that we have to take to do this kind of stuff. Don't break the law or do anything stupid and post any porno or up there where you're going to get busted. Don't do anything dumb like that. Stay out of these scumbags' radars. But I do think that these opportunities are important to put a different perspective out there and to show that there are other people out there like Lee and me and a lot of other hosts and stuff and people out there who are who don't take the same stance and the same viewpoint on this stuff as Alex Jones and the intelligentsia of the Truth Movement, Patriot Movement, while at the same time exposing the whole other level that exposes the systems of control that they don't reveal, because inadvertently those systems of control, now we know beyond any shadow of a doubt, there is no doubt in my mind anymore, and hasn't been for a very long time, that the Truth Movement and Patriot Movement is controlled by the same entities that those said movement people claim to be exposing. And I think that's important. So I think it's important that we have things like this where, hey, it's all in fun, it's all in good fun. And not only that, that's the whole point, is that it is fun. And it should be fun. I've got some things to talk about here with you tonight that concern issues and topics of the world that aren't fun. And it's very easy right now because of the time we are entering in. My goodness gracious, folks, we are here, aren't we? The quickening is upon us. And, so it's very easy, I think, to get caught up in it and to get caught up in the horse shit and get caught up in the negativity and get caught up in the fear mongering, the doom and gloom, because even the most staunch and ardent non-buyer of bullshit and non-buyer of fear mongering has to be concerned right now and has to be very, very on edge, wondering what's going to happen next, because you just can't deny it anymore. It's not, you are not succumbing to fear, ladies and gentlemen. I want to make you understand, and I want you to think that, at least I think anyway, or don't think anyway. I don't think that you or me or anybody else out there is succumbing to fear by having a sort of a heightened and advanced sense of concern for world events and what's happening all around us right now. I mean, the only reason I ever started doing this was for that innate concern of the things that were going on around. I never dreamed that I would be where I am and doing what I am now, with exposing the things that, the very things that got me into this. I'm now, and I'm ostracized to a great extent by those people because they think that I'm on the outside of them when really I've always wanted the same things that they probably think they do or say that they do. I've always wanted the truth. It's about getting down to the bottom of this. It's about answers. It's about knowledge. It's about knowing. Because only through the knowing and the knowledge can we know what exactly it is in all levels we're up against, so then we can learn how to fix it and figure out how to get ourselves out of this mess and get our species out of this mess. That's the whole plan. That's the whole thing. Violent revolutions and all this stage stuff is not going to get the job done. So with that said, with all these very heavy things that we're going to have to be forced into talking about here on the show, and in order for the importance for me to continue to try and, I think when things are even at their worst, we have to smile. I think when things are even at their worst, we have to laugh. If we lose that and allow ourselves to be drugged down into their pit of negativity, folks, they've won. So that's my whole idea behind this, counter-offensive thing with the post on that. I mean, I don't even really care what these ass clowns are doing, but I think that we have a responsibility. We don't have a lot of, we really don't have much of a choice anymore. We just kind of have to go all in with this stuff, don't you think? And put all our chips on the table and, hey, run a counteroffensive. I mean, it would be imagined how it would blow your mind probably how many of these patriot-loving, truth-mongering, fear-mongering, Alex Jones-worshipping ass clowns that there would take such butthurt offense. If you put some poster of Phyllis Schlafly showing her clam with a CMPV logo, branded on her ass, slapping that over one of Jonesy's posters, and it says theglobalreality.com and then flashes a big middle finger on the screen or something like that. That not only would that get it would put attention on it and people would go, oh, well then, that person who did that must be associated with that website or whatever. Well, no, not necessarily. If somebody just makes a video and slaps my, slaps my web address up there, hey, there's nothing, hey, thanks for giving me a shout out or whatever. You see what I'm saying? And that could go a long way towards, stirring those people up, maybe getting them to look at some of this other information seriously. But my whole point is that to show people that there is another presence, to show people that there are other people out here. A lot of people don't even know we're here. And when they find us, you guys have seen it. You guys, there's a lot of you in the chat room that have been with me for a long time, man. You guys have been riding with me for a long time. You stuck with me. And that's one of the most awesome things in my life that I'm always thankful for, is that so many of you every day that I see in the chat room and stuff, and you stick with me and help me out and help me out financially and all that stuff. And it's, it's amazing when you find somebody who finds us and they find the chat room, they find what's going on with the show and they listen to what I'm talking about. And lately it's happened more than it has probably ever. It's been crazy lately. I can't tell you how many new people I've been contacted from lately that have said, hey, I just found the show. And they're blown away when they find our chat room and they find the show and they're just like, man, I didn't even know this was here. This is fucking awesome. You guys are cool. This is laid back, whatever. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think when people really get down to the vibe of what we try to do here with this network and this show and the chat room, the whole deal, that to me is the great work. That's our great work is taking this vibe and this community that we've built here and spreading that all over and showing people how it really can be. And, weeding out that negativity when it comes in the door. I think that's big. That's one of the biggest things for me. You come in, start running your mouth in the goddamn chat room, I'm gonna kick your ass out my fucking chat room. I'm not even gonna fucking give you a warning. I'm not gonna flag you. I'm gonna ban your ass. IP ban across the board. Come in fucking around. That's all there is to it. You know why? Because it didn't have to be that way. That's why. A lot of people can hang out for days on end. I could see fucking for weeks on end, months on end sometimes, and not see fuck one problem in that chat room from anybody. Everybody's getting along. Everybody's putting out information. People are coming up with new research and dropping it in there, connecting stuff from something I said or something somebody else said. They're hanging out. It's a community. That's the way it's supposed to be. And this does not fucking include people who just want to, spew hate or, just generally be a troll and start shit. I mean, we keep, there are cans of fucking troll spray hanging in the chat room. They're just hanging everywhere. You just grab one. Troll bait kills bugs dead. But that's the whole thing is that we have to start showing people that there is another perspective. There are people who are very concerned with things that go on and know about the secret societies and know about the New World Order and know about the Illuminati and know about ritual magic and the esoteric stuff and know about all this, but don't fall into the same category in the same club as the people who follow Jones and the truthers and all that stuff. That's really what it is. It's trying to create something that is for the people again. We don't have, that's the biggest thing I think they're scared of. That's the biggest thing, a reason why they, and I don't bitch about this because I hear Alex Jones bitch about it and it pisses me off. And I don't bitch about it, but I know for a fact that they have held back many views and the numbers of views of a lot of my videos on YouTube. I've really noticed it a lot lately. I've just noticed all kinds of weird stuff on YouTube. I know for a fact that they're doing that. I know for a fact, and I think that the reason they do that kind of stuff, and I think the reason why they mess with the websites and mess with the broadcast is because it's just like anything. The biggest threat to these people are real grassroots movements, not things that are operations and funded by, this think tank or that think tank or this special interest group or this NGO or whatever else, as most every other goddamn, or, for a fact, every other thing we ever find. What we do here is something that it only exists because the people that listen to this and are fans of what I do want it to be here. That's the reason we're here. Because the people that want us to be here show their support every month and show their support when they can and help us make films and everything else. And that's why we stay here. And they're so scared of that. They don't want more people finding that because it's a business model that doesn't fit into, are we in the red? Are we in the black? Are we making money? Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't fit into their regular corporate structure of a business model for running something. Because what I do, it's not a business. I'm not selling anything. I essentially, everything I'm hand to mouth, everything I get is from somebody else because they appreciate what I do. And that's the currency of people. That's not a Federal Reserve note. That's the currency of people. That's the currency of your spirit and who you are and what makes you, the trials and tribulations you've gone through in your life to become who you are. And that's exactly what I consider myself at this very moment. The sum total of all my life experiences. And when you provide something to someone through your spirit, through your own, not from giving somebody a product that was made in a factory or bought on a shelf or a Walmart or something like that and handing it over a counter and saying, thank you, sir, that'll be $39.95 Federal Reserve notes. Thank you, have a nice night, robotic. No. The real currency of people is that when you have someone who is providing, insight, or someone says, this, that, or the other, or a piece of advice, or it's the currency of providing something for people that is in exchange of energy. It's just people who want to have something for themselves, and I think that's probably it's got to be a big threat to them. They sure as fuck don't want that spreading, and other people setting this up where you have, oh my gosh, there's this many people that are behind this cause and are asking these questions and are saying this, but yet, we don't have somebody at the tip top that's, one of us. This is something we're not controlling. That scares the bejesus out of them. And they're on the run right now. Thanks to all of you and everybody out there, all of us together done this. No one individual person has been responsible for all of this. But man, we have created a quantum shift in how people view information. We have created a quantum shift in how people view the patriot movement, the truth movement, radio show hosts, presenters, filmmakers. We have, pundits, politicians. We've created a quantum shift here with the work that we've done. I got to say, we have. Because, it's everybody's asking about it now. Everybody's interested in the CMP stuff. When I first started talking about it, it was taboo. And, those of us who have been hammering this stuff for going on 4 years like I have, God damn, it blows my mind because we have got them on the run. Somebody the other day was pointing out in the chat room that Alex Jones is having to now readjust his broadcast and recalibrate, basically recalibrate his approach because of me and Lee single-handedly. And it really is true. This guy is really, really now trying to find a convenient way to absolve himself of any and all relations to this. And that's, it's always going to go back to the CMP, even though the CMP is really the catalyst for all this. The real question about all of this and the whole essence of the CMP itself lies in its connections to the Jesuit order, to the Vatican, to all these secretive religious orders, the secret societies, the priest class itself. That's the core issue of the CMP. And I hope that never gets forgotten. That's the core issue of why it's important to talk about the CMP and as it relates to Alex Jones. Is because the connection he has with his family, with the John Birch Society, the connections with people in the Jesuits, guests, personal friends of his, those connections combined with the John Birch Society and the CMP type stuff and in the inner working mechanisms of that we have talked about on this show and in the Secret Volume 1 and especially this goddamn overload of information we're going to have in fucking Secret 2. I was talking to Mud Puppy in the chat room about it last night. God damn. I'm almost going to have to put a disclaimer on this thing and tell people not to watch it all in one sitting. I think that people's heads are going to probably explode. Their ears are going to bleed if they sit down and watch this new movie in its entirety. It's fucking information overload, dude. It's an infogasm. That's a new term. I coined it, put my name on it. Infogasm. That's exactly what it is. It's a goddamn, I mean, it's just one right after another. And then I go back and I remember something else I got to find. I mean, I'm having trouble. I'm having to go through and make all these lists and stuff. I got lists going around everywhere of different info to make sure that I don't forget to get it in there because there's so much. There's enough to make 30 volumes of this, literally, and never get it all done. But so this movie's going to be mega. I mean, it's going to be mega once it's done, and I think that that's going to continue to be the catalyst to showing people that, hey, you don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to become a member of a group, or you don't have to change your political affiliation from left to right to vote for Ron Paul or any political pundit. You don't have to participate in their system at all. All you have to do is be and do the right thing. And want to do the right thing and want what's right and want to rebuild this planet in the way that the people see fit. You know, that's the real thing. So I hated to start out tonight with this on a tirade. I didn't really mean to go on a tirade, but I wanted it to be clear, and do want it to be clear on why I was saying, hey, let's do a counteroffensive to this Jones v. Poster thing, because really, I mean, honestly, I really don't give a fuck. I really don't give a shit about any of that stuff. Most of you out there are smart enough to know what that is and what those clowns like that are up to now. But then again, a lot of people aren't, and it's very difficult for me. One of the hardest things I've had problems doing since I've been a radio host is remembering to review and to remember that, so-and-so, somebody didn't hear my show from March of 2009. I may have talked about that topic ad nauseum on my show in March of 2009, but, as it stands now, some of those people that just are listening recently may have missed those and not heard that stuff. So I kind of have to remind myself to remember to go back over certain topics. And it's very difficult to do because the way my brain works is I'm garnering my show every day for the people who listen every day. So for them, I'm trying to every day get up here and give something new and make it a little bit different than the last show and the show before that. That's really the point I come from. So it's very difficult for me sometimes to remember to go back over certain things and go, hey, remember you might want to go back into this, because some people are just joining us and, we get off talking about CMP and Jones and where there's, and they just get lost. And sometimes they think it's just hate or anything else. They don't know that all this stuff has been, basically my main focus and work for the past 4 years. I've been exclusively almost dedicated every bit of my research, although I'm still doing other research and other topics, but I've been exclusively focused on this CMP stuff since I found out about it in September of 2007. And it's all starting to come, all that hard work is starting to pay off. I'm starting to, we're starting to see people ask those questions. Jones is on the run, trying to have guests on every other week to, try and fucking knock it down a notch. And so, like I said, it's that combined with all the stuff and all the happenings in the world and the big, strange, crazy, cataclysmic changes that are going on all around us, and the fear of impending doom. And it just, goddamn, this year just so far just has this, it just has you to your hair up on end, doesn't it? Don't you wake up every day feeling like what's going to happen next? What's going to happen today? I mean, you really do. And you can't help but feel that way because that's what everything is pointing towards. But I think we have to try and remain focused in the face of all of this. Try and keep ourselves centered as best we can. Understand what this is, not to become reactionary or react. And I think that there are going to be a lot of things that are going to happen in the next few months that are going to force even the most, steadfast of us to have a very distinct reaction to a lot of the things that are going to be happening in our world. And I just want you to know that regardless of all this stuff, I would continue to try to do my best to lighten it up a little bit sometimes. I take this stuff as seriously as anybody else, but I also think that we need to have a laugh. We need to make fun of what needs to be made fun of. We need to put big old nasty ass pictures of Phyllis Schlafly bent over on Jones V posters and take pictures of it and YouTube videos of it and put it up and say, haha, you guys are idiots, theglobalreality.com, whatever. You know, there are other people out here telling the truth. There are other people out here searching for the truth. There are other people out here seeking enlightenment, seeking to live in a world better than what we were sold on TV, better than what they tried to sell us in the movies. That's what we're aiming for here. Not death, destruction, armed revolution, more death. We don't need more death. We need more living. That's the problem. Isn't that why all of us decided to get involved in all of this at whatever particular level each and every one of us are involved? And you are, and even if you're a listener to this show, you're involved. So if you don't like that status, you need to turn the radio off right now and never listen to the sound of my voice ever again, because you're involved in this. You know why? Because when you listen to my show, you're a participant. You're an active participant. I don't consider me this hierarchy of me the host, you a listener. No. This is, you know, we're doing this. You're just as involved as anybody else. Why? Because once you listen to my show and you've told somebody about it, or you've talked about it, and you've had an emotional reaction to something I've said or something clicked, then, you know, hey, you're a part of it. That's how the chain continues. So I do find it important to still smile and still laugh and still not let them take our living away from us. That's the whole thing. We all got involved in this because we knew that there was a threat coming that was going to threaten our life and our way of being. So that's why all of us are here. But if we don't allow ourselves to live, and we just sulk in fear and sulk in hate and, oh, I'm sick of these goddamn new world order, oh, blah, blah, because that's how I was 4 or 5 years ago. I was a pisser of a motherfucker to be around, worse than I am now. I wouldn't talk to you, wouldn't look at you, wouldn't give you the time of day if you tried to have a conversation with me about anything that didn't relate to the world, the new world order, whatever else. Didn't want to even have, I just considered you scum. And I started realizing over a period of time that was breeding the same type of an elitist, because I saw it in other people, you know. Oh, those dumb sheep, they don't even know 9/11 was an inside job. They're dumb sheep. And I went, you know what? Isn't that what the elite do to us? They call us useless eaters and chattel and everything else because we don't know what they know. And I started noticing that was getting transferred to the truthers and the patriots and everything else. I started seeing this condescending attitude towards people who were quote unquote awake against people who don't know what the fuck's going on. And that to me is, I mean, how is that any different than what we're supposedly supposed to be fighting here? So, you know, it was a big thing for me where I had to snap myself out of that, because I was guilty of that. I had to snap myself out and say, look, you know, I had to realize that was wrong. But I didn't then realize that was coming from my response to listening to, you know, shows like Alex Jones and being very much involved in the truth movement and patriot movement. Once I found out about the CMP and I found out about this larger control spectrum, I felt more free than I did when I first woke up to this stuff. Because, you know, there's that first initial rush, you know, when you first start finding out about this stuff where you're like, you know, you're on fire about it. And then you get mad and you get pissed and you're blah, blah, blah. Whose ass do I have to kick? Blah, blah, blah. And, but yet, you know, you never feel like you're any closer to finding a solution or finding an answer or finding the real truth when you're just following the quote unquote truth movement. You don't. You feel like you're just in a constant rat wheel. And I don't feel like that. I mean, sometimes I do feel like that every once in a while, but most of the time, and every week, you guys that listen all the time, you guys, I mean, almost every week I'm finding new stuff and we're discovering new things and new things that I didn't know about. And there's a new aha moment, you know, that happens. That's, you know, I didn't get that a lot when I was following the mainstream truth and patriot. I didn't get these constant new pieces of information brought before me. It was like, here's the information, here's what it is, and anything outside of that is kookery. And when you free yourself from that bubble, when you free yourself from that prison of, you know, these topics are what we're supposed to talk about. Here is the handbook and the rules for the truth and patriot movement. We're supposed to talk about these issues. If you start talking about, you know, directed energy weapons, UFOs, aliens, the Anunnaki, the Council for National Policy, Fabian Socialists, or anything else, you're going to be extradited. You need to talk about the bankers, the Jews, You need to talk about Skull and Bones, the most powerful secret society in the world. Yeah. It just, once you're out of that, you're free. And that's another, I felt that way as well when after I left Oracle Broadcasting. Because I felt, over there, like there were certain things I couldn't say and certain, so because, there was a weird thing. There's a weird thing over there where the hosts kind of act like, it's kind of like a fucking, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's kind of like high school over there with some of those hosts, not with Lee. I love Lee to death and Lee is the real deal, but I don't know. It's kind of like high school over there at Oracle when I was over there. It was just like, everybody, hey, listening to everybody else's shows. And man, do you hear what Josh Reeves said? Man. And this, that, and the other. And everybody just, shit talk, back talking, and then smile. Oh, hey, man, how you doing? Love your show, to your face. That's how it was over there. And, once I started my own network and have been free to say what I want, talk about what I want, never feel afraid that bringing out a certain piece of information or piece of research has been taboo. I felt that like that for a long time. Like I would come into certain pieces of research and I would go, man, I can't talk about that on my show. People are going to freak the fuck out if I go on air and say this. That's how it was for me when I first talked about the CMP. You have no idea. It was terrifying. Because I had been on air barely a week, dude. Who the fuck, I was like, because I was looking at it from everybody else's standpoint. I'm like, man, everybody on their goddamn dog is going to think I'm a Fed. Everybody in their goddamn dog's going to think I'm disinfo. I'm this, that, and the other, because here I am, this new jack host that's come out of nowhere. And the first thing that comes spewing out of my mouth as soon as I get on the air is, all of this may be a lie. All of this may be, I was scared to death, man. And, Chambers was the one that sort of kind of said, well, just put it out there, just see what happens. And, I did. I put it out there and it was long and hard and tough road for a long time, trying to get people to pay attention to it. But, I guess that's the whole thing of hindsight is that, you just start to realize that if you can't express yourself in the proper way, that was another thing, I couldn't say this or I couldn't say that word or talk about this because of FM stations. And I just feel like such a hypocrite because everybody talks and bitches and pisses and moans about the First Amendment and free speech, but then they stifle their own free speech. Or don't say this, don't say fuck or shit or cock or cunt or pussy, let it fly. And why are we placating to the FCC? Why are we worried about what the FCC thinks about what we say on a micro FM station that they won't license you for anyway? I never understood that either. Could never wrap my mind around that. All the guys at Oracle would always be like, oh, we can't say this word or that word because of the stations that carry the micros and they won't carry our shows anymore if we say cuss words. And I'm like, well, that's not your problem. That's their problem. They're operating an FM broadcaster that the FCC won't license anyway. It's not legal because there's no legal way to go through it. So technically there's nothing they can do about it anyway. So I never understood that whole dynamic of, oh, this, that, and the other. And it just seemed like another way to stifle people's speech. And that's what I find more and more. The people out there who won't challenge this stuff of Alex Jones and won't bring up the CMP information and won't say what it is for what it is and bring out the real truth reality of it are helping along that phony controlled movement and helping along that control mechanism. And in my mind, and the way I see it, you motherfuckers are going to be just as guilty when it's all said and done as the people who have been perpetrating this. Those of you who had an opportunity to stand up and had an opportunity to call out this stuff and didn't, I consider to be just as much as the enemy as anybody else. Because you are aiding and abetting the enemy for not saying the things you know are true because you're a scared little bitch who worries about what your peers and your other little jerk-off buddies on the internet are going to think about you. And you know who you are. You hang out mostly in Lee's chat room. You know who you fuckers are. You got nothing better to do than circle jerk on your little fucking laptop from CENTCOM or wherever you're running your op this week. Come in making stuff up out of the clear blue yonder about people and then think that that's going to stick and you're going to have people buy it. And it's funny, those people are always love Alex Jones. They didn't. Well, you never notice how the ops are always the biggest Alex Jones fan. Why is that? I don't know. Anyway, we have got a crap load of things to discuss with you. We're going to be getting into some of this other news and information tonight pertaining to more cataclysms, various weird things that have been going on in Dallas here prior to the Super Bowl happening. I want to tell you about as well. We're going to be getting into quite a bit. Various news stories tonight. Love to have an email from you, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Late night Moonbat edition tonight. We're going late, baby. We're going all into the night. Oh, yeah. We might even have an appearance from the Dark Lord on the show tonight. Oh, yeah, it's going to get back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. Thanks for staying up late with us tonight. Late night Moonbat edition of the show here for you. And we got a lot more to talk about with you here tonight. We're going to get into some news here this evening and talk about some various issues and topics that pertain to what everything's going on. Lately I've felt that the job sort of has been just pointing out and really identifying and talking about all these various very interesting, strange things that seem to be leading up to some sort of big I don't know. It's it's a big fucking amalgamation of shit. It's like, you feel like a carnival barker sometimes. You want Armageddon? You got it. We got floods, we got disasters, we got earthquakes, we got pandemics, we got martial law, we've got false flags, we got it all. What do you want? How do you want to die? You can get it right here. All right, come to America, come to the world. Yes, this is the earth. Pick your way to die. I mean, it's unbelievable. Nibiru is going to come and get you, and bird flu, and it's ridiculous over the top. So I've kind of been on this thing lately where I feel that I know that it may seem this way all the time. I feel that there is a pattern I feel that there are patterns going on in the news right now and the things that are coming out where someone's trying to send us messages. Somebody's trying to hint and get us, those of us who are diligent, to look into this and figure this out. And the past couple of days, there's been sort of a lack of material. Yesterday, I just flat didn't do a show because there wasn't enough material. I tried to get up. I got up early in the morning, tried to do a show early. No dice. Waited later in the day. Not a lot of stuff came out. And then today we had some various tech issues, but we're back up and running here today. But some of this stuff is just we're just kind of documenting it, all the various operations and things that are going on, because I think in inside of those various things that we cover lie the answers. The greater context, which I think is really what we're always searching for, is that greater context. I had a listener who sent an email in tonight that was kind of on the subject of what we were talking about in the last hour. And they said, did you hear the Oracle Roundtable a few weeks ago with Jack Blood? They were making fun of Lee Rogers, but they couldn't really say shit, and it was sick. It doesn't surprise me. Lee's a class act, but there are a lot of scumbags on Oracle. There just is. There always has been. A lot of the ones that were on there when I was on there are gone. But then there's some other scumbags that have come in there now. I mean, they're people who want to be loved and accepted by the mainstream truth movement, and they think that anything outside of that is the dork table. Like I said, it's that high school mentality. That's how they treat it. Those are the nerds over there at that table. Those are the nerds that are into the CMP or whatever. We're the jocks and we're the cool kids because the principal likes us. Alex Jones likes us, or we're, this, that, and the other. We're the patriot movement, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so there's a lot of that, but I would be interested to find that show if somebody has a link to it. If they're saying something about Lee, I think Lee should know about it and maybe bring that up because allegedly they supposedly, even though I don't think it's actually true, what they told me was, even though I was one of the founding members of that network. A lot of people forget that or don't know that, but I was one of the founding members of Oracle. That network was started by myself, Lee Rogers, Doug Owen, Michael Vale, Rob Chowda, Joel Bissett. We all came over, and Mike Chambers. Mike wasn't really involved. Mike wasn't going to be doing radio anymore. That's why we all pulled together and started that network, was because Mike couldn't afford to run TNR anymore and had some family problems and stuff, and he had to shut down TrueNet Radio. So we were all left without a home. So we decided to start our own network with our shows on it. And it just exploded from there. But originally, Oracle was an outlet for my show, for Lee's show, for Doug and Michael Vale's show, and for Chowda. You know, I mean, that was the original. That was the original thing. And so, you know, there was never any really rules laid down. We had things that we would say, you know, well, this, that, and the other about the cussing thing, and or that, or, you know, this, that, and the other for the micros or whatever, you know, little things like that. But after I was getting some pretty full frontal attacks on me by other hosts on the network back in 2009, I went on my show and went off and just called them all out, every one of them, and called them for what they were. And that wasn't very well liked by a lot of my other compatriots over there. And they said, well, we know you're not going to quit, and then we're probably not going to fire you. So what are we going to do here? So the agreement we had come to between me and Doug and some of the other guys over there was that I was just going to do my show on Saturdays, and I was going to start my show on my own, where I could basically have, you know, free reign to say and do whatever I wanted to do. But I was informed essentially that I had broken some rule of Oracle that never existed beforehand, of you can't attack hosts, other hosts on the network, even though there had already been other hosts that attacked me first, and I was just retaliating. It came down on me. The responsibility was put on me. Well, you broke that rule. Well, so I decided to stay on, just do a show on Saturday nights and do my other regular show, but I was still going to be doing the Saturday night show on Oracle. And about a week later, one of their ass clown hosts over there, Alex Ansari, what was that audio clip that was going around for a while where he said he was every gay man's wet dream? I wouldn't doubt that. He looks like a cake boy, if you know what I mean. But anyway, he just went on this all tirade and just ripped me and called me name for name. And I called up Doug Owen and I said, hey, you know, what about this? Did you hear this Alex Ansari show from today? He was calling me by name, ripping me. I was like, what about, I thought you guys had this policy where other hosts were not supposed to attack other hosts on the network. Are you going to reprimand him for this? Are you going to, you know, fire him? Are you going to do something about this? And Doug said, no, I'm not going to do anything about it. And I said, well, then it's very clear to me where you stand, who you are, and what you really represent. Because if you were what you say you were, and you really stood by your word, and you really had that rule of hosts not attacking other hosts, then Mr. Alex Ansari would be gone. But I see it doesn't apply to him. It only applies to me because you want me off this network, because you believe if I'm off Oracle, that no one will talk about the CMP and the Jesuits and the Catholics and everything else anymore on your network. Well, that failed royally. And in fact, one of the highest rated shows on that network once a month is when I go on with Lee Rogers. How about that? So just wanted to address that question there by the listener. Yeah, they're hypocritical, man. You know, they say, well, you know, they told me that you know, not allowed to attack other hosts, and then I get attacked, and then nothing happens. You see, to me, you say what you want to say about Oracle, and I only can gauge really what I think about people by my own experiences. And I tell you this, that experience left me knowing that I don't trust anybody on that network but Lee. And you can make of that what you will. I'm not saying, you know, not saying that to sway anybody's opinion about the network. I'm just simply relaying you the truth to what happened to me in my situation when I was on that network. And, you know, the original idea to start that network was mine anyway. And Doug took it and got his buddy to start doing it. And then they slowly started, you know, kind of pushing me to the wayside and what I was allowed to input and not input and everything else. But it happened for the better, because now we get to see who's who and what's what, you know, and that's the problem is most of these guys, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything else, but there's just, it came to my attention later that a couple of people over there at Oracle were Catholics or married to a Catholic or grew up Catholic. And those were the people that always had the problem with me saying stuff about Jones and about, you know, the Vatican and the connections to that. I don't know if that means anything. I'm not making any accusations. I'm just putting it out there because it's a fact. You can make of it what you will. So thank you to our listener for that question there. GlobalRealityShow@gmail.com. Shipping banner is at the website. Support us if you can so we can pay the bills. Donate button is there if you want to donate towards the films, towards our work. Any amount of cash we get in, the guy the other night, he had phone problems, was calling in, and he's called. It's the second time he called in a month, and he wants to talk about finances and money, and wants to talk about the films and all this stuff. And that's just not show content. If you have a question about those things, you can email me personally. The only reason somebody wants to come on this show is so they can try to do this in a public forum on my radio show that's about information, not about how much this costs or whatever else. It's just a boring sort of conversation to me. And so, that's the whole thing is that any amount of money that we get in, the more that we get in, the more stuff that we can do. And I've been saving everything that I've been getting in for the past month, except for bills. I bought the new website we're going to be having, which is infotainmentcomplex.com. I bought that. It was like $16. But I've been scrimping and saving because I've been trying to save every penny I can so that I can get this piece of gear that I need to finish the soundtrack for The Secret Right, and also to be able to have this piece of equipment so that in the future, when we do films, it's there. I have it. We can start knocking out films left and right. So I've actually been saving up, this cash for that and trying to get it to be able to afford to buy it. And we're going to get there, eventually. But that's the whole thing is that, there's no definite amount or finite amount of what we need to support. We don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we don't have $100,000 money bombs. I can't afford. Alex Jones is giving away $10,000 for first prize in his contest. $10,000 is the budget for a film for me. You understand? Anybody that has the money to throw around $10,000 for a radio contest prize and gets a check from Fox News from his Sunday show is the person who you need to be asking questions about finances for. Okay? Not me. Not the guy who, I don't have all these fucking amenities and all this shit that everybody else out there needs. I live a very basic, very low-key, stripped-down life. I don't even own a cell phone. You understand? I don't have credit cards. I don't have all that shit. I don't have overhead. I don't have kids. And a little bit goes a long way for me. But, if you expect me to not get up here and tell you we need support when we need it, then I'm sorry, you're listening to the wrong show. And, got a problem with it, take it on down the road and go listen to somebody else's show. That's all I can say. Because the people out there that do love our work and do support our work and love me and give me support, those are the people I do it for. I'm here because of them, and I'm here for everybody out there, all of you. I love all of you guys. We get people coming to the chat room all the time. When's the show? When's the show? Are you going to do a show tonight, today, or not? I cannot fucking believe that somebody would come into my goddamn chat room and say to me, are you going to do a show today or not? You need to tell me right now. I need to know. People literally been saying that to me. Like, excuse me. First off, who died and made you my boss? I don't have a boss. Are you signing a paycheck at the end of the week with an amount for me? No, you're not. So you have no right to come to me and ask me, is there going to be a show? You planning on doing a show today? You going to do a show? Fuck off. I'll do a show when I want to do it. You hadn't figured that out yet? So thanks to all the people who hang out and don't, constantly pester me about if there's going to be a show or not. There's going to be a show. There's going to be a show. All there is to it. We got one on our hands tonight. We're up late and glad you could be with us. Let's get into some news tonight. There has been some interesting things that have been occurring here. I've noticed strange aircraft all in the skies of Dallas, in the Dallas area. I only live, 20, 30 minutes away from where they're going to be having the Super Bowl at. And it's crazy. There was a couple of days ago, or on Wednesday, rather, yesterday, there was a story that came out that said that there had been at the Dallas Convention Center, which is roughly about 15 miles away from where the Super Bowl is going to be played. It's actually in Dallas proper. The Super Bowl is going to be played actually in Arlington, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, which is just a little bit of ways from Dallas there. And but they had been having this, this Super Bowl fan thing, whatever. It's a big convention at Dallas Convention Center thing. And Wednesday they said that an iPad and a laptop had been stolen from the Dallas Convention Center that allegedly had security data, schematics, and everything for all the security details and plannings for all of the Super Bowl events, including the Super Bowl. Now, they quickly scrubbed this article, took it down, and replaced it with this one that says stolen NFL laptops didn't contain security data. Well, isn't that interesting? So they report it first that there had been laptops, and these specific laptops and iPads came up missing, did have security data. Then they came back and said, no, it didn't. But yeah, they were stolen, but no, it didn't have security data. Okay. That seems suspicious to me. An iPad and 2 laptops stolen from the Dallas Convention Center did not contain Super Bowl security information after all. Yeah, after all. Notice how they had the after all on there. The items belong to a private investigator and security consultant based in California. Sources say the company was hired to do work for the NFL in some capacity during the Super Bowl. The owner of the items association to the big game led to concerns about the contents of the laptop, but police say now that security hasn't been compromised. After talking with the victims, it was determined that neither the laptops nor the iPad contained any information that would compromise or jeopardize the security of any Super Bowl-related events. Well, then why did that come out in the first place? So that was odd to me, and that was sort of a red flag thing. And then this morning, I was woken up and told about this when I woke up. Bomb scare at downtown Dallas high-rise turns out to be false alarm. Now, this is interesting because this happened in Pegasus Plaza. And I know exactly where that is. And in fact, I was just down there in that exact spot. I was down there Friday night. What's interesting is there's a building down there that I noticed at this place. And it's got this weird, it's like this giant Masonic thing with this like flame on top of it that glows. It looks like some kind of, it looks like the gate that Gozer the Gozerian came out of on fucking Ghostbusters. I'm not kidding. Are you Gozer the Gozerian? Are you a god? Then die. It looked like that, you know. And funny story, and we'll get into this bomb scare thing. This bomb scare happened exactly where I was Friday night. It was interesting because I noticed that where this area in downtown Dallas, this area that's only been recently constructed, and they call it Uptown. And there's one of those clubs down there where you have to have you have to buy a bottle of Grey Goose just to get in the door. And it's real swank and posh and everything. And a friend of mine's band was having a CD release party down there. And I was just noticing while I was down there, every time I go out and smoke a cigarette, that everything seemed to be sort of, hoity-toity and sort of kind of, up class. They called it Uptown and sort of, different vibe of people. And I noticed that there were a lot of, I don't know, slimy sort of elite type people around. And I went outside to smoke a cigarette. And coincidentally enough, it's exactly where they had this bomb scare this morning. And I saw this, and I was just thinking Friday night when I was down there that, this place just seems weird. It just seems like there's spooks and feds and weird people all around here. And there were Dallas cops posted up, kind of just sitting there. And normally Dallas cops don't do that, especially downtown. And I overheard this guy. He kind of looked like he might have been Asian, a little bit white. And I was outside smoking a cigarette, and I heard him. I can't believe I hadn't told you guys this story yet, because this happened to me Friday night. This is unbelievable. So I was standing out there smoking a cigarette, and I heard this guy like smoozing this chick, right? And she was fairly hot. And he was kind of like, he was talking about being in the military and stuff. So I kind of poked my ears up, and he had no idea I was listening. But it was, right outside, open. He's talking full voice right outside, where everybody was smoking cigarettes. And he's like showing her his different identifications. He's like, here's my Department of Defense ID. I'm like, oh, he has a DOD ID. Well, that's interesting. I'm going to listen to what this guy's saying. As soon as I heard that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I was in Iraq, and I was in the jungle eating bugs. I was all these places, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, I'm in black ops. That's why I wear black. And I heard him saying this, and I was like, and I saw the DOD ID because he was like flashing and stuff. And I was like, whoa, what's this guy into? So yeah, that's why I wear black. He's like, yeah. He's like, you probably don't even know I have a gun under here. He's like, yeah, I have a concealed carry license. Here's my concealed carry permit. Yeah, I have a gun under here. I'm in black ops, blah, blah. He's like, do you know they actually have a classification for black eyes? And I went in my ears. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't. And I had half a fucking buzz on. I had 4 or 5 beers, and I had a couple shots. I had half a fucking buzz on. So I'm standing there like about to crawl out of my skin, man. Like, oh my fucking God, I cannot fucking believe this guy is standing there right here saying this. Black eyes. As in like reptilians, black eyes, as in like Tom DeLay. The time I confronted Tom DeLay and he scanned me up and down with his little black eyes. And I couldn't believe that. He's like, yeah, he was sitting there talking about how they have a classification on the the identification on the DOD ID and his concealed permanent ID about black eyes. And I was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, some people, he's like, it's a very, it's a very small percentage of the population, but there is, some people who actually have black eyes. And they said that my eyes were black. And this guy, I'm not gonna lie to you, this guy looked like he was a fucking reptilian. I mean, he did. He looked like something straight out of V, like a fucking reptile in skin, in human skin or something. He really did. He gave me that. He had a creepy, snaky, slimy vibe to him. And he was smooching his chick. And so, I had half a fucking buzz on, I was half cocked. So I was walking back in and I said, hey man, I was like, I overheard you talking about your military ID and stuff. I was like, you in the military? So, oh yeah. So I was like, I heard you're in black ops. What kind of black ops are you in? He was like, well, I can't really talk about specifics. We just, I do stuff that like, you'll read about something in the news, and well, whatever you read about in the news, that's like pretty much the opposite of whatever we really do. And so I was kind of like, I kind of thought the guy was full of shit, honestly. I think he was just full of shit, That's kind of the vibe I got from him. I think he was just making stuff up because he's been playing, Call of Duty Black Ops, and he's making stuff up trying to get in this girl's pants. But, he did have a DOD ID, so I took him somewhat seriously. But I said, well, let me ask you a question, man. I was like, how do you sleep with yourself at night knowing that the things that you're involved in are bringing about the destruction of not only your country that you claim to be serving and protecting, but also bringing down your fellow man and your whole entire species as a whole as well? How do you sleep? And he starts laughing before I even get all the words out. It's funny to this guy, right? And he starts kind of, doing his head, whatever, man. Fucking get out of here, you fucking hippie. And I'm like, well, you know what, dude, you can call me a hippie all day long, but I just want you to know, if you have willfully gone along with the things that your government are doing, I think you're a piece of shit. And there's a lot of other citizens out here like me that think you're a piece of shit. And he kind of bowed up to me, right? And I got hot. I was like, oh shit. Because that's how I am, dude. First fucking sign of a fight, I mean, my shit started, my blood starts rolling. I'm like, yeah, it's about to go down. Because I hadn't been in a good fight in a while. So he kind of bowed up to me a little bit, and I was like, oh, here we go. And I got fucking almost ready for it, man. I could taste it. And he kind of bows up to me a little bit, kind of puts his chest up against me. He's like, hey man, I got a gun under here right now, right? I'm like, yeah, I heard you talking about your concealed carry thing. And he's like, I could blow your fucking brains out right now on this fucking street in front of all these people, and I could get away with it. And I go, you know what? I just kind of smiled and said, that might be true, but I'm going to tell you something about me you don't know. My name is Josh Reeves. I'm a radio host. And I got thousands of people all over this planet who listen to my show because I expose pieces of shit just like you every day. And if you touch me, a million more just like me are going to spring up tomorrow. And your little country you're fighting to defend is not going to be too happy with you when they know what you've done. And boy, he got fucking shit scared, son. I mean, shit scared. He turned fucking, I'm not kidding you, dude. He turned ghost fucking white. Shit scared. Backed up. I'm sorry, sir. Apologize to me. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Like, fucking piss scared, dude. I was like, that's right, bitch. Walked back upside and fucking found my friends. But yeah, dude, it was crazy. But anyway, my point of the story is that conveniently that happened exactly where this alleged bomb scare was this morning. And this does not sound like a bomb scare to me. This was a drill. They're calling it a bomb scare. Oh, so it was a false alarm. It was a false. No, this was a drill. This stuff never happens in a week before the Super Bowl. It starts happening in Dallas. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think this is a coincidence. A package that triggered the evacuation of a downtown high-rise this morning turned out to be harmless. I mean, this is totally a drill. There's just no question this is a drill. The suspicious package was found shortly after 9 a.m. in the basement of One Main Place in the 1200 block of Main Street in Dallas. 2 bomb-sniffing dogs belonging to a private security company identified the package. Oh, really? 2 bomb-sniffing dogs belonging to a private security company. Well, who? And what were they doing there? See, that's how you can see the bullshit in these news. 2 bomb-sniffing dogs belonging to a private security company. Well, who? Shouldn't they say 2 bomb-sniffing dogs belonging to such and such private security company identified the package? Because this is nondescript. We don't know who. How are we even supposed to believe these guys have credentials to identify a bomb? They didn't say this was the feds or the bomb squad. This was 2 bomb-sniffing dogs belonging to a private security company who identified the package. That's shady, man. They're found inside a FedEx truck on a loading dock, prompting the evacuation. A bomb squad was dispatched, and police cordoned off the area, blocking traffic on Main as well as nearby Field and Elm Street. Shortly after 10 a.m., the package was opened and found to contain paper files. Workers were allowed to return to their offices by 11 a.m. And so I just very curious about that. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know if they're planning to do something in Dallas around the Super Bowl or not. I mean, people have been hinting about it for years. There was a, and I wanted to put this out there in case anything did happen and anybody did find this. But there was a David Dees. You guys know who David Dees is, right? He does all those conspiracy artwork pieces that people use on their websites and their movies and stuff. He did one a few years ago that had, it was like, I forget what it was. It was like a newspaper in the future or something. And like one of the headlines on the front of this David Dees piece said Dallas nuked. And you could see they had like downtown Dallas like wiped out. And they've been like hinting about that, you know, and all this stuff. And I've just been wondering if, you know, if they're not going to plan something, I don't know, Black Sunday or something. I'm not too worried about it, but it just seems that there's a lot of weird stuff going on in terms of this, you know, the security they're bringing in for the Super Bowl. As I talked about the other day, you know, nobody's asking the question here where I live at all. I've looked in local media. I've asked around. Nobody here in Dallas at all is asking the question is all this stuff that was got from these grants from Homeland Security, all this technology, is it going to go away once the Super Bowl goes away? And the answer we know to that is going to be no. It's here. It's going to stay here. So we now have remote control helicopters. We've got all this stuff that we didn't have in Dallas before. And it's even more of a fucking police state than it was. Dallas is a police state. It always has been. We got the cameras here in Dallas before anybody else had them anywhere nationwide. We had them in 97, folks, 97. And I didn't know as much about all this stuff as I do now in 97, but I knew enough. And I was telling people in 97, hey, remember, you know, you read Orwell, right? You know, this is Big Brother. And people laughed. People laughed. People said, oh, that's, you know, that's hogwash. They couldn't get away with that. Not in this country. And I'm happy to say people don't laugh at me anymore. It's amazing. People I tell about this stuff, they don't laugh anymore. Friends, family. Enough time has passed now, and enough things have transpired to where if you deny that this stuff is going on or try to deny any of this information in any way, shape, or form, you're just sticking your head in the sand like an ostrich. You're just trying to basically, you know, rely on willful ignorance to get you by, and that's not going to get you by forever. It's certainly not going to get you by when, you know, if you're trying to survive. And look, it's, you know, it's all about survival. I'm just trying to every day get up here, and every day and everything that I do in my work and in my films and on this show every day, I'm just trying to give us a somewhat of a chance. Because the way they're playing this stuff out right now, they're not really factoring in what those of us who have a different view on this stuff than everybody else does thinks. And so you either fall in the category of you are with the government or you are with the people that are against this stuff, the truth movement, the teabaggers, the rest of it. And that's why I want to continue to make sure that everybody out there knows. And, you know, hopefully I think at this point with the Secret Right 1 and 2, people pretty much know where I stand. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that I'm not on the side of any of these entities. I'm not on the side of the federal government. I'm not on the side of the patriots and the truthers and the teabaggers and the armed conflict militia guys. I'm not on those sides. I'm on the side of humanity. I'm on the side of survival. You know, I don't want anything to do with their divide and conquer Civil War scenarios. They're going to come out, but that's what they want to do. They want to try and pin all of us who have been asking questions as extremists and as people who want to overthrow the federal government. And I don't want to overthrow the federal government. And not only that, I wouldn't have to if I wanted to, because they're overthrowing this and doing it themselves. So, you know, that's another retarded statement. Oh, yeah, we want to overthrow the government. Or anybody that would ever say to you, yeah, well, I believe we should overthrow the federal government. That's what we should do. You're an idiot. You haven't been paying attention. Come here, let me smack your skull for you. You hadn't paid attention. We've been in a slow motion overthrow for a great many years now. The overthrow of America is happening in slow motion. And, so this still clinging to some idea of your country or your homeland is another flawed model and a flawed way of thinking. Until you can detach yourself from your attachment to your quote-unquote homeland or your quote-unquote country and believe that your country or where you're from or what country you're from defines you, until you can separate from that, they've still got you. You understand? Because you're still identifying yourself with a construct they created. Well, I'm an American and I have these rights, or I have these. No. I'm a Briton, or I'm Australian. No. You're human. You're a citizen of humanity. You're a sovereign citizen of humanity. Your country or the land or the border or whatever you were in or the flag you were born under doesn't define you. It doesn't own you. Although technically that could be debated when you really look down to it. Yeah, I mean, we're all owned at birth. But what I'm saying is, everybody that says, well, we got to do this, we got to stand up for our country, we got to take our country back. You can't take back something that never belonged to you in the first place. This country never belonged to you or I or any of the rest of us. In fact, the only people that should be even have the right to say we need to take our country back should be the people that were here before us, the natives, but even they don't own the earth. No one can own the earth. But they think they can, and that will be their undoing. So that, to me, is one of the biggest things that's keeping people attached to all this is still this identification with a country. Well, we could take our country back. That's what we need to do. No, you need to let go of that. You need to worry about how we're going to take our species back. And take ownership of our species, of ourselves for the first time, instead of allowing ourselves to be born into indentured servitude and allowing this to continue and continue. That's one of the key issues of this whole thing. They restrict the knowledge. They restrict us from knowing the real truth. They create the intelligence communities. They create religions, the priest class, the intelligentsia, all this stuff to conceal from us the real truth. Then give us this phony, fake idea about what life really is and how it's supposed to be lived, and they just keep us in a constant state of indentured servitude, and we never learn what they learn, which is how to ascend into other realms once you leave and shuffle off this mortal coil and not be forced to reincarnate back down here again in the endless cycles. They keep that for themselves. Well, before it's all said and done, we're all going to have this power. Wouldn't it be great if we all just one day learned how to ascend? And then when we all died, we didn't come back down here? And the people just stopped being born? Except for the elites. They just keep multiplying their bloodlines again, but then there wouldn't be any slaves born anymore. Imagine that. We all ascend to a high other level, and they're left down here ruling over nothing and nobody. You want to talk about dreams? That's my dream. We've been talking about all these volcano eruptions that have been happening. We have more news on that. Lightning and fire in Japan on alert after volcano's biggest eruption in 50 years. Very striking photos here. The Earth is in play. We're in the middle of galactic alignment. The precession of the equinoxes. A 3,600-year event that happens once every 3,600 years, and we are on the cusp of witnessing this. When you look at our galaxy from a distance, during galactic alignment, it looks like a snake. It looks like a serpent. You understand that? That's not a coincidence. As I talked about last week, that, there is a real key thing to this whole, what people say about reptilians and all this, but it's not what David Icke and the rest of these clowns have been telling us. But there's something to it, because this snake symbology is everywhere. And it even occurs naturally during galactic alignment. You understand that? It looks like a serpent from a distance, folks. We are supposed to be rising up right now to the greatest point of enlightenment and elevation that the human species have ever experienced. But what's happening? They are multiplying natural events, and they are engineering the end times. They are engineering Armageddon. They are engineering all this all around us. You know why? You know how we know they're engineering this? There's one distinct reason why we have utter proof that they are engineering the end times and the doom and gloom scenarios and all these weather events and hurricanes and earthquakes and all this. There's one very definitive way to tell that they're engineering this. Because we know for a fact now that the technology to mitigate and to knock out things like earthquakes and hurricanes, which is the other end that this technology can be used for, exists and is possible. If they have the technology to create the weather, that means they have the technology to mitigate it. And we know they do. They admit to it. It's in the patent documents. You can go find it for yourself. So any quote unquote natural disasters and earthquakes and floods and all this stuff is all a lie and should immediately be questioned on the basis of the fact that we know they have the technology to prevent any of this stuff from happening. We know for a fact they do. So that's the thing that we need to remember to ask and remember to bring up in whatever happens in the coming days, months, and years. You know, if they pop off this San Andreas, this New Madrid thing, if they create this big superstorm of this flood, we need to be asking when everybody's falling all over themselves to cover it on the media and talk about, this was HARP or this was that in the alternative media. We need to immediately be asking the question of why this wasn't stopped and mitigated, because they have the technology to create it and they have the technology to stop it. And when these things aren't stopped, they have the technology to knock out Katrina. What did they do? They swung that fucker up the East Coast like it was on a joystick, paused it, and then brought it all the way back around under Florida and made it slam into New Orleans as if it was under control of a video game joystick or something. Literally, they did that. I watched it live on the news when it happened. There's just no excuse anymore. We have all the information. There is no excuse for us to just sit back anymore and not open our big fat fucking mouths whenever these people pull off one of these ops. Now, I've got some more very strange, interesting things I'm going to report on. Last night, very early this morning, I posted this in the chat room. There was a report that a military base in Utah had been on lockdown and closed down because of some missing nerve agent, some sort of biological weapon. And immediately I started reminiscing and thinking about the missing nuke situation that happened back in 2007. This had echoes of that. The Army said Thursday that Dugway Proving Ground, where military weapons are tested, was locked down for hours because a small amount of nerve gas was unaccounted for. The amount missing was less than 1/4 of a teaspoon of VX nerve agent, which affects the body's ability to carry messages through the nerves. The missing viral prompted a lockdown late Wednesday afternoon that lasted nearly 14 hours. Professor Commander Colonel William E. King said the nerve agent was never unsecured, but had been incorrectly placed in a mislabeled container after a test Tuesday at a base lab. So right there, it's an admission that they were testing VX nerve agents. So why are they testing VX nerve gas in Utah if they're not planning on using this? Right? They're planning on using this stuff against somebody if they're testing it. So this right here would be one of those articles, and I'll put a link to it in the chat room, that you might want to save and keeping your records, because if something was to happen, some sort of, staged terror event where they say, oh, Al-Qaeda has hit it with VX gas, we can all have this article in our files and say, hey, Bubba, what about this? What about this little lockdown? I've got another one for you. Apparently, there was a lockdown at Fort Bragg as well sometime in the past week. So we've had two lockdowns at two very separate military installations in the past week. And it makes you wonder what's going on. Is there something happening? Oh, and in the midst of all this, Charlie Sheen is collapsed and went to the hospital or something. Yeah, anybody want to challenge me to a bet? I got $100 says Sheen's dead this year. Anybody going to take it? $100 bet. $100 that says Sheen will bite the dust. Sheen will be dead in 2011. That should be our campaign. Bugs, I'm telling you, Charlie Sheen, he's not going to die. I don't care what Josh Reeves said. He's full of shit. Charlie Sheen's a fighter. He's a patriot, and I love him. And I do coke off his conference room table, and, that's just the end of it, folks. This stuff's real. Oh, man. Anyway. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, and this was another thing that got hugely underreported by the media. These lockdowns at these military facilities didn't get any play. Another thing they didn't get play. Did you guys obviously know that the yearly World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland has been taking place this week. And usually there's lots of media reports on it. There hasn't been any media, or very few media reports on it this year. And also very few reports on this. A minor explosion has occurred at a hotel in Davos on Thursday, close to where the World Economic Forum is taking place, but nobody was injured. I can confirm that there has been an explosion in a storage room in the basement of our hotel. Our staff is there now. There has been minor damage, but no injuries. I mean, that went completely underreported. And that's what happens when there are, sometimes, there are actual, I don't know if you'd call them terrorists, but, there are actual, violent reactionaries and violent sort of, anti-government people out there that aren't feds and aren't ops and aren't provocateurs and aren't part of the intelligence communities. And every now and again, they try to do something like this and blow something up. And they don't report it, or you don't hear about it in the news, because they don't report on these kind of things that happen when it's, some random citizen or some random person that tries to blow up, a building or something. They washed it. The only time they ever give any of this stuff play and give it a big time audience in the news is when it's one of their operations. That's too funny. Man, oh man, oh man. Lots of crazy stuff. Oh man, somebody else sent me another oh, that's funny. I wish I had a damn it. I don't have it. I'd have to download it and upload it to a photo bucket or something. But somebody sent me another anti-V poster. It's got the V logo on it, and it says V is for vagina. And it's got a picture of Phyllis Schlafly standing next to a picture with Alex Jones' young head pasted on it. And Phyllis Schlafly, above where it says V is vagina, Phyllis Schlafly is saying, "Do you like old vagina, Alex?" And Alex Jones is replying, "You're the best Russian spy I've ever had." And then he's got a badge on that says Ron Paul, and he's got one that says Texas and says CMP, and then he's got another one that says JBS, and another pen that says Buy Ted's Gold. Now that's good. That might be actually the one we want to use to put up on other posters, because it's not very it's not offensive really. That's good. But I still like the one with Schlafly bending over, but this one's just cake, man, because it's actually clean. I'll tell you what, I'll get it up and I'll get it in the photo bucket here in just a bit after the show, and I'll drop it in the chat room right after the show's over. Oh, that's too funny, man. That's good stuff. It's really good too. Like the detail of the buttons where it says, like, I don't know how they made the one that says CMP. That looks fucking real. And it's like a little button and it, like the state of Texas, and it says CMP in like gold. I mean, that looks like that came off somebody's, looks like that's a real button, dude. And the Ron Paul thing he's got on is like a sheriff's badge, and it says Ron Paul, and that's classic. That is just classic. And of course, Phyllis Schlafly, just like she did when I saw her in 2008 when I got her on video, she's got her little gold pin on there. That little gold pin is a symbol of the bloodlines, and Hillary Clinton wears one of those as well. And she rallies. It's funny because she rails against Hillary Clinton. You know, Schlafly thinks Hillary Clinton's the devil, and it's funny because I got pictures of them both in the Secret Right Volume 1, both wearing that gold pin. And that's a symbol of the bloodline. And we know that both Schlafly and Hillary Clinton are both members of the bloodline. I'm contemplating whether or not that's going to be the next film I do or not. I think that's probably, I don't know. I'm thinking about the next film after Super Right 2. I'm thinking about doing a film on the bloodlines. Because, man, there's just so much information that if you could lay all that stuff out and tie all those connections to the bloodlines and show people really what it all means and how important it is, I think that could be one of the biggest probably one of the biggest impacts that a film has ever had, because it explains why a lot of these people like Jones won't talk about this stuff. Because, you know, for all intents and purposes, Alex Jones is in this bloodline, which he probably is by his admission of, you know, his ancestors being on the Mayflower and all this other shit, you know. That's the whole thing. I think the bloodline thing exposes a great deal of this, and I think it shows who's who by what it does expose. So I may be making a film on that in the future as well. But yeah, I'll get that up in the in photo bucket for you guys here just a bit after the show's over. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up there for tonight. We'll rebroadcast this here in just a bit after it's over for those of you that came in late if you want to hear the rest of the show. But I'll be hanging out in the chat room afterwards and whatnot. Please support us. Chivin banner's there for the bills. A donate button is there at the bottom of that if you want to donate larger amounts to help us get what we need to finish Secret Right 2. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. You guys have a great night. Take care.